In this section, we're going to get started with React.js, the technology of choice for our front end. We're going to bootstrap our project using Create React App, and then we will jump right into creating components for our app. By the end of the section, we'll learn about React's core concepts and build out a couple of real-world components, such as a product cards component and stylish form elements. For now, let me just give you a gentle primer into the world of React before we begin. In section 1, we already talked a bit about why we're using React at all in the first place, and we went over some of its merits. I'd like to remind you of some of them, especially the more technical ones as we go in. First off, React is a component-based view library. In order to think in React, you need to think in terms of components. Every small piece of the interface is a component that's waiting to be defined and created. Naturally, we'll also have to create bigger blocks that consist of multiple components. But the big word I want you to remember when looking at a component is encapsulation. Each component can have its own state, its own logic, its own styles. Next, I want you to keep in mind that React is a declarative library. We're not going to be writing selectors or appending elements into the DOM. Instead, we'll be writing concise and predictable JSX markup, and we'll let React do all the heavy lifting. Finally, React has a small API, and this means we'll be able to become productive really quickly. Once you learn about props, state, callback-based state lifting, event handlers, and a few lifecycle methods, you'll be ready to make production-grade apps in no time. So let me give you 3 quick examples of React just to tease you and pique out your interest in learning how to work with it. Here we have a simple React component that just renders a paragraph of text that says "Hello World." Notice how we're not creating any controllers or models, we're not appending any elements to the DOM, and we are certainly not concerned with anything outside of the component itself. This is a simple presentation component, a simple view. It's just as advertised. Now here we have a little variation on the previous component. This will print a paragraph that says 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. The code inside the curly brackets is executed as valid JavaScript every time the component renders. This might look a bit funny to you, but this is JSX, a syntax extension to JavaScript. It may remind you of a template language, but it's actually so much more, because it can execute any JavaScript code. Finally, here's a more complex example of a component that actually has some sort of state. As the user clicks on the button, a method called add1 is called that will increment some sort of counter. The component will always display this up-to-date counter by re-rendering. Notice how React is the one that will do that for you. You just update the state, and React will make sure that what you declared in the render method always stays true. This is the beauty and power of declarative programming.